Hi, everyone. Welcome back. It's so good to have you here again. In today's episode, we want to talk about something almost everyone remembers, our very first jobs. They might be small, part-time, or even unpaid, but they always leave a mark on us. Anne, do you remember your first job?
Oh, yes, I remember it clearly. My first job was babysitting for a neighbor's kids when I was about 14. Honestly, at the beginning, I was nervous. I kept thinking, what if the kids don't like me? What if they cry the whole time? What if something goes wrong?
That sounds stressful for a teenager. How did it actually go?
Surprisingly, it went well. The kids were sweet and playful. At first, they tested me a little, like refusing to go to bed on time. But after a few tries, I learned how to make them listen. Sometimes I read them stories, sometimes I just played silly games until they got tired.
That's impressive. Did you feel like you were already a little teacher?
Kind of, yes. I lined up their toys, I pretended we were in a classroom, and they seemed to enjoy it. It gave me confidence. And of course, I earned a bit of money, I think around $5 an hour. At that age, it felt like I was rich.
I can imagine. $5 at 14 feels like a fortune. For me, my first job was different. I worked in a small bookstore when I was 16. A friend of the family owned it, and he asked if I wanted to help during the summer.
Oh, wow, a bookstore. That sounds like a dream job. Did you love it?
Yes and no. I loved being surrounded by books, the smell of paper, the quiet atmosphere. It was beautiful. But sometimes it was boring, especially when no customers came for hours. I would clean the shelves, organize books by author or genre, and when I finished, I just sat there.
Did you ever read books while waiting?
Oh, yes, all the time. My boss didn't mind as long as I finished my tasks, so half the time I was working and half the time I was reading novels or comics. Honestly, I discovered some of my favorite books during that job.
That's amazing. See, even first jobs give us gifts, not just money, but also experiences and discoveries. Babysitting gave me patience and responsibility, while your bookstore job gave you knowledge and practice with communication.
Exactly. And speaking of communication, at first I was shy to talk to customers, but after a few weeks I learned how to smile, say good morning, and help them find books. It sounds simple, but for a teenager, it's a big step.
Yes, that's so true. I think first jobs shape our personality. They show us what kind of worker we can be. For me, babysitting taught me how to manage people, even if they were only 5 years old.
Hey, children can be harder to manage than adults sometimes.
Definitely. They don't always listen, they argue, they get bored easily. But I realized that if I was creative, things went better. For example, instead of saying, go to bed now, I turned it into a little game, like, let's see who can brush their teeth the fastest. And suddenly, they ran to the bathroom.
That's brilliant. So you were already learning leadership skills.
Maybe, yes. And you know what? Babysitting also taught me how to stay calm in unexpected situations. One time, the younger child spilled juice all over the carpet. I wanted to panic, but instead, I took a deep breath, cleaned it up, and told myself it's not the end of the world.
That's such a good lesson. For me, my panic moment in the bookstore was when a big box of books fell and everything scattered on the floor. Customers were watching and I was so embarrassed. But I laughed at myself, picked everything up, and realized that mistakes are normal.
Exactly. First jobs are full of mistakes, but that's how we grow.
Do you know anyone who had a really unusual first job?
Oh, yes. One of my friends worked as a dog walker when she was 15. She loved animals, so it was perfect for her. But sometimes she had to walk 5 dogs at once. She said it was chaos. One dog pulled left, another pulled right, one barked nonstop. She came home exhausted but happy.
That sounds like a comedy movie. I know someone who worked at an ice cream shop as his first job. He told me that at first he was terrible at scooping ice cream. Sometimes the scoops fell on the counter or even on the floor. Customers laughed, but luckily his boss was patient and supportive.
That's adorable. And it shows another thing. Sometimes our first bosses are like teachers. They guide us and give us space to learn.
Yes, true. My bookstore boss was very kind. He let me make small mistakes, like giving wrong change, but he always corrected me gently.
That's the best kind of boss. I once read that people often remember their first job forever, even if they later forget some other jobs. Maybe because it's like the first step into the adult world.
I agree. And it's not just about money, it's about independence. I remember feeling proud when I earned my first salary. Even though it was small, I felt like I could contribute something.
Oh, yes. I remember buying a small gift for my mom with my babysitting money. It wasn't expensive, just a little candle, but she was so happy and I felt so grown up.
That's so sweet. For me, I bought a notebook and some snacks with my first salary. Nothing special, but it felt like a celebration.
I think many listeners will relate to that, using the first salary for something small but meaningful.
Definitely. So, what did your first job teach you about life, Anne?
For me, it taught patience, responsibility, and creativity. Also, it made me realize that I enjoy helping people, even little kids.
That's wonderful. And for me, my first job taught discipline, communication, and the joy of being surrounded by knowledge.
Perfect. And to our listeners, now it's your turn. Think about your first job. What was it? How did it make you feel? What lessons did you learn?
Yes, we'd love for you to reflect on that. Sometimes the smallest jobs leave the biggest impact.
Exactly. And remember, no matter how small or simple your first job was, it was an important step.
All right, that's all for today's episode. Anne, thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you too, Arfan. I really enjoyed this conversation.
And thank you everyone for listening. We'll see you next time with another interesting topic.
Until then, take care and don't forget the lessons from your first job. Bye for now.